loud with a load of bollocks and then, hope somebody on the other side's going to back down.
I just find him a massive hypocrite. Last year it was all about the Super League club can't do this to the Championship clubs and the rest of the game. They're so selfish. And then all you've heard this year is rumours that is trying to be part of a breakaway from the RFL of the Championship clubs so that they can master their own destiny. So basically what the Super League club said 12 months ago, 14 months ago or so. And you also, all you hear from him is stuff about this stuff. Well, he basically wants someone else to pay for a facility that he can profit from without putting any time or effort in how he generates that income. The Bradford Bulls, as far as I'm aware, get to keep all of the match day income they make at the stadium. I've not heard anything to the contrary of that. No. So, I mean, obviously they then have to pay costs out of that. I'm not saying that they don't have to pay costs, but surely their emphasis should be on bringing more people into the Odsal Stadium and playing an active part in any development of it. Maybe trying to buy the stadium if they think they can fix it themselves and want to make all the money from it and don't have to pay any rates to any rent to anyone. Why is that not what's on the table, Mr. Chalmers?
Yeah, I mean, I just think as a way of we none of us know, do we, exactly what the state of play is at Bradford? What the books look like?
Well, we
what
know
their
they've had 3 county court judgments against them recently.
Absolutely. So we know they're on the edge as they seem to have been now for the best part of a decade. I just think this probably isn't the best way of trying to resolve those problems. Shouting your mouth off in public like this in the papers doesn't tend to, in my view, get people supporting you when you want to try and get the help to resolve issues that you've got. So
I think for a long time the Bradford Bulls fans were on board with this approach that he was making, but I think they're starting to see hypocrisy. They're starting to get concerns about people not getting paid again, and now they're being told they might not have a team in their town anymore. They're not going to support this, are they?
You wouldn't have thought so, and I feel really sorry for the Bradford fans. I mean, it must be a horrible situation for the club that you love. To be involved in. I can't imagine that being my own team. It would be dreadful. And they've been, as I said, they've been putting up with this now for the best part of a decade on and off. It's a pretty dreadful situation for them to be in.
I think on and on rather than on and off.
Yeah, who knows where this one's going to end up, Mark? I certainly don't. We're going to have to watch this space.
Hopefully it is resolved in a positive outcome for Rugby League and for Bradford Bulls fans. But please, guys, don't get in touch on any Andrew Chalmers related nonsense for a while. I can't, at least if he's not going to tell us what they're doing for 2 weeks, let's wait 2 weeks before we talk about him again. But any other news story over the next week, get your fan views in on the Google form. I'll try and make sure I share it out on the social media platforms. But if I forget, or if there's a story you want to particularly comment on and you don't know where to find the Google form, send us a message on Twitter or Facebook and I'll give you the link and you can comment away to your heart's content, just not about this man. Okay, Super League match reviews time now, David. We'll move on to the meat of the show. So, David, it was round 24 of Super League. That feels like ridiculous. It doesn't feel like we're at round 24 and we're in the final stretch of the season in many ways. It feels like only yesterday it was the opening round.
That's a sign of age, Mark.
An average attendance of 5,790, so middle of the pack kind of average attendance there. Basically, it was a London were at home average attendance, so that's what brought it down slightly below 8,000. But some solid crowds across Super League this week, as we'll get to. And the first game was a Thursday night game, but still drew a crowd of 10,153. Ben Failer was the referee. It was Hull FC hosting the Wigan Warriors. It was 10-6 to Wigan at half time, thanks in most part to an 8-point try, but it was much tighter at the end. It finished 15-14 to Wigan. The Zach Hardacre drop goal with 4.5 minutes to play sealed the deal for the reigning champions. In terms of the stats, the team stats have the team stats would actually give it probably to the home side on balance, with 88 more metres, more breaks, more offloads, and a much better team tackle success rate, around 5% better team tackle success rate. They also conceded 3 fewer penalties, did the black and whites. In fact, the only key stat that was won by the winning team was errors. Wigan made 3 fewer errors than Hull FC. Individually, stars of the show kind of jump out straight away from these stats. Dan Sargentson with 6 tackles and 148 metres. Tony Clubb with 133 metres, although those stats were irrelevant compared to his cover tackle. Liam Farrell with 138 metres, and Sam Powell with 51 tackles, 10 of which were from marker. And then for the Hull FC side, Beretta Faremo with 131 metres, Josh Griffin with 7 tackle busts and 151 metres, Danny Houghton, yeah mate, 1 try assist, 59 tackles, 14 marker tackles, that's how he does that. And then Jordan Lane, 48 tackles and 11 marker tackles. Do you want to take us through the first of the fan views?
Yep, so Owen Hughes says, a really enjoyable game for the neutral-ish rugby league fan, if there's such a thing. Thought either team could have won and say they deserved it. A difficult game to referee, but I thought Thaler did a good job.
Neil McEwen said, Hull or Marmite every week, either good or shite. There's absolutely no consistency. Radford needs to produce a urine sample for testing for not starting Jake Connor again.
The ever-present Tom Andrews says, great game considering it was between 2 of my top 3 most disliked teams. Willie Isa and Tony Clubb, very good. Wigan love getting out of Hull with a drop goal win. Nice to see Mark Neymar Sneed getting a bit back at half time. You're a rugby player, not a diving overpaid football player. Behave like one. Jake Connor's petlet gets funnier every week too.
Jen K says, all-round strong performance from Wigan and a crucial win. Marshall so much improved defensively. Hardacre brilliant as usual. Nice to get revenge on Hull for that painful golden point back in March. Reckon Snide would have kicked his cat when he got home. I reckon if his cat walked into him, he would have fell over and rolled around for 10 minutes.
To get a penalty, indeed. Always in our shadow. 2 weeks off. Enable the Pies to hone their shithouse tactics. Sick note, swing headshots only karma, that he gets injured because of one. I think what he's referring to there is O'Loughlin damaging his pectoral muscle after a rather high-ish looking tackle on a Hull player.
It was a crap tackle, terrible technique. He lost his shape, and he is someone who probably would get sent off every week in Union because he tackles for the chest and gets it maybe 75% of the time, but hits the heads too often. That's a fair. It's a fair call, but do you know what? He's greater than any player they've had in the last 20 years.
There we go. Isa charging off 8 yards and still so late attacking kick, a definite card job.
And Joshua's granddad said, time off told here, good effort by FC, falling just short. Pies playing very close to dirty. Lockers finally receiving karma after years of high shots. Isa niggling in late. More creativity needed by FC to get back on track. Yeah, well, we'll pick up on a couple of those points there. Sean O'Loughlin, he got injured in a high shot. It looks like he's not going to have surgery, but he's going to be out for at least 6 weeks, probably longer. Let's face it, he's an old man. Yeah. There's an element of classic Lockers in this, isn't there? He's going to come back for the grand final and win it. You know that.
Yep. And then get selected for Great Britain and captain them down under as well.
Hey, as long as he wins, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other flashpoint to talk about, I suppose, was in the 40th minute when Sneed rose again from the dead, unbelievably. Look, the tackle from Willie Isa was late. There's no doubt about that. It was late. He kind of was a bit reckless, but I don't think that the tackle was actually a dangerous one. It certainly wasn't high. It wasn't really. There was no element of swinging arm. It was more just a sort of shunt. Sneyd had landed, I think, or was he wasn't like he was attacking the kicking legs or anything like that. It was just just late. It was niggly. It was like people say, a bit shithousey. People from all teams do that sort of stuff. And this is where I'm going to put, but it was late. Penalty totally justified.
Yeah, it was fine, I think.
This is where I'm going to put my cherry and white glasses on and say, maybe I'm biased here because it was against my club, but I think it's disgusting when players try and get players sent off, and that's what Mark Sneyd was doing, because Mark Sneyd was not injured at all. If he was injured at all, he wouldn't have been able to get up and kick a penalty goal from 5 metres in from the touchline and 35 metres out. He was not injured, so why did he pretend he was? I don't like seeing it. I really don't.
We've seen too much of it. We've seen a lot of it. I mean, Sneyd's a good example this week, but during the course of the last 2 years, I've got fed up of seeing players go down holding their neck for crusher tackles when it really hasn't been anything like a crusher tackle, and coaches coming on holding their heads and blah blah blah. It's all got a little bit football.
Yeah.
and I'd like to see the end of it if we could.
And I'm not. Like you say, Mark Sneyd is not the only player who's exaggerated something here, but I feel like he was. So, as a Wigan fan, and whatever. If you don't like it, don't listen. Yeah. There's many people who don't listen. But that's my take on it. It was late. It wasn't violent. It certainly didn't cause any injury, and I don't like someone rolling around. Now, Willie Iser going up to him and giving him a bit of a bump on the way off into the half-time tunnel, that was... that again, there was nothing actually in that. That was Willie Iser saying, "Oh, you're going to get down on the floor now and roll around," or it was that sort of thing. But it's unnecessary, and I'd rather he didn't do it, but he did do it. So there you go. In terms of the actual rugby on the pitch, Hull made too many mistakes. Hull's halfbacks thought about kicking first and creating second. This taking the two, it didn't work last week against Warrington. Why did they think it was going to work this week against Wigan? You can't score one try and win a game. It's not even, Warrington tried it against St Helens a few weeks ago. Wigan tried it against St Helens a few weeks ago. Hull tried it against Warrington last week, and Hull tried it against Wigan this week. You can't win games with penalties, even close, intense games. Even games where you maybe have the slight edge of it with the attacking positions that you get yourself into, because the other team are giving away penalties and not really doing a great job there. Like Wigan weren't doing a great job in that aspect of this game. But what Wigan did do a great job is defend like it really mattered. Yeah. And that sort of thing that we saw a lot under Sean Wayne when we were having poor performances where we weren't quite clicking in attack. We were showing flashes but not quite clicking. And when we don't click in attack, we make up for it in defence. Hull didn't quite have the patience and intensity. Now, I know Hull played last weekend, and this short turnaround was mentioned by a couple of people. What I would say is Wigan played a lot of the game with a rotation down, and actually, because of how that panned out, it meant we didn't use Jared Samet either. We could have messed things around a little bit there, but I suppose Lamb wanted to go with better defenders on the pitch, and it told in the end. Wigan defended better than Hull FC did.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, well, a few thoughts on this. One, I mean, I wouldn't spend a lot of time talking about the Iser incident, to be honest, because I think it was a little bit late. Sneyd was play acting, which drives me nuts, and I'll move on. I think it was a much better game than that. I thought there were a lot of errors in the first half, so the quality wasn't great. But in the second half, it became compelling because neither side could really break down the other, and Wigan's defence was very good, particularly in the middle, and particularly with some of the young guys. Byrne, I thought, was really good.
He
Smithy,
had his best game. Other than the impulse for that double movement, and after that double movement, Wigan didn't have the ball for 10, 12 minutes. As Hull really put the pressure on, and it ended with the Scott Taylor try, actually, that run of pressure. But other than that little impulsive move that he made, which he couldn't help himself, could he, the young fella? But yeah, you're right to call him out. It was his best game in a Wigan shirt.
Yeah, I thought it was they were really good as a group down the middle. The energy and enthusiasm in defence was excellent.